And she was very flashy, by the way. Very, very flashy at that time. And I told myself I needed somebody that kind, outgoing. Although I'm a reserved person, but for complementary purposes, I needed somebody to flavor up my reservedness.
Yeah, maybe I'll start on that. One is respect. Respect is very important because as a wife, first of all, you must respect your man. When you respect your man, you'll be able to know how to handle him, both in the house and both outside. And men are like big babies. And you must protect their ego. Because a bruised man or a bruised ego is very dangerous. When a man's ego is bruised, that man, in fact, he loses the confidence in him. And that's why most women lose their men. Because they crush their ego. And this man, akikuwa nje, once the ego is crushed, he does things about, now you hear what people talk about. So the first thing to make a marriage work well, you must respect your man. 2, you must love him genuinely. Because at times it's the love that will keep that marriage, and that the love is what will make you respect that man. You love them genuinely. And then also try to get the best of that man out. Get the best of him out. You know, like if I look at Dominic, I can't say Dominic is a perfect man, but there are strong points in Dominic that makes me love him more every day and compliments me. Like on the other interview, I was just talking about he's very supportive. You see, like the kind of a woman I am, I'm a very aggressive woman, and I'm a go-getter, and I'm a risk taker. I take sometimes risks because, you know, sometimes when I believe something, I just take a risk on faith. You see, and now that is different from my husband. Him, he has to analyze. You see, so wakati nikimulipua na hiyo risk, anasema mom, wait kidogo, let's talk. Is this a reality? You see, so there are things about him that compliments me so well, and that now gets I see those parts and points na magnify, na cover his weaknesses. You see, so in marriage, respect is very important, and love. Yes, because when you respect your man, you'll be able to protect him outside and inside. And when you respect your man, you'll not be able to case things before the children. You see, sometimes you'll be, whatever the issue that comes up, you look for a good time because you respect him. And you see, like when my husband is home, we have a norm. I love eating together. Even if I'm in the office, even kids can have their dinner, but he will wait for me to come. We share together because I love coming and warming food for him, and we share. You see, and it's something that has bonded our marriage so much. Even when I'm somewhere, I know if at this time I have to be home because I want to dine with my husband, and sometimes I want to serve him. Even if kama kuna, because sometimes we're in a busy schedule, our house girl can prepare the meals, but I love coming to warm the meals and serve him. Or sometimes tunafanya tu mchezo tu ya watoto. We put food together and eat on the same plate. We just, if like we're sharing too, we just feel good. You see, it's something that we want to do, that and the small things that also he does. I tell him when he's not there, because right now, you know, he was promoted to Akoribe. So I love you. I miss him sometimes when I'm retiring to bed and daddy's not there to put up the net. You see, such small things, because when he's there, he'll ensure he'll put the net on, and it's something he does. So you see, when he's not there, they're small things, but to me they're very important. You see, so there are small things you do in your marriage. They look very small, but they are very important. Even before, and I think he does it. You know, I know he's a smart guy. He does it so that he knows asipokuwa lazima nikiingia kwa bed nianze kumiss, because you see, putting that net every evening, mom, make sure the net is on because of mosquitoes. Then he does it. So amenizoesha. So every time now, before we retire to bed, he does like that. So when he's not there, kama wameenda shule, you know, every time before he goes, I wish Dad was here. No such. So I know it's something anafanya purposely. So basically what I can say is you must respect your marriage. And you must, hakuna marriage inakuanga perfect. You must work for it. Because these are adults. And when adults meet, kuna vitu Domi cannot change from me. Na kuna vitu I cannot change. If I try to change, nitamvunja. Because I got him as a big man. Na kuna tabia alikuwa amezoea. Na mimi kuna tabia nimezoea. You see, I've stayed alone as a working woman. Na kuna tabia in me that nimezoea. So the best is to complement. Now if I try, there is some things I try, nikijaribu kufanya, they will just crush you. Because nikijaribu kuzitengeneza, nitamvunja tu. Yeah, so we complement one another.
Just before that, if you allow me, one very important aspect in marriage for success is communication, dialogue. You communicate what you have, share what you have, your ideas are put on the table, you both listen, and then you can now pick and put your heads together that we can do this, or we can suspend this, or leave it out completely. That makes or breaks the home. If you cannot talk, there's a problem. And many of today's marriages undergo that kind of struggle, where people are too busy for each other. They feel they're out there, they only meet in the evening, and then that's it. Tomorrow everybody's out. That communication runs down even to the children. We need to always share what we have so that we are able to move in one direction. One other thing I would want to probably add is, as you dialogue, you work together in the likes and the dislikes. Remember the courtship period. Somebody might hide some of those clothes for the purposes of getting into the institution, an ordained institution of marriage. But as time goes by, you seem to realize them. Then you start to wonder, is this the person that was a few years ago? A mistake was made somewhere along the line. We have to, first of all, be open to one another, even from that time. And these are the issues I discussed with her even before we got into marriage. We discussed a lot. First was, well, how many children would you want us to have, or God to bless us with? And I remember the response was 2 onwards. 2 onwards. But again, I didn't expect a football team. You understand? So God has been very gracious and faithful to us. We have achieved that 2 onwards. Secondly, the management of the home. There's that hierarchy. And Pastor Catherine talked about somewhere in the show that as you pick a partner, you must have variance, the differences. But how do you marry the differences to come with one collective route you are going to go through? You embrace this person with both the weaknesses and the strength. But now, magnify the strength and pray God to allow the weaknesses to somehow disappear out of the scene. So basically that is what happens around for you to be successful. I may have not been perfect, as she has said. She may have not been the very angel as such, in the real sense, angel of God. But somehow you panel beat one another as you move until you shape into one line. In fact, after 15 years, somehow you behave the same way. If you've checked couples that have been successful, utaona kidogo mambo yao ni kama yananyooka pamoja after 15 years. Because then you've known this person very well, the likes and the dislikes. So mnafanya vitu kama ni pamoja tu. So basically what has been able to help us is that dialogue communication, the management of the home. And this is what we do keep telling people. Those that we counsel, they do come around for counseling, even when we are not pastors. But groups do come to us. We see you around and you look like you have a perfect family life and marriage life. What is the secret? We tell them one thing: plan, 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 so that you don't collide along the line as you move forward. The first thing that we talked about was that number of children God should bless us with. Secondly, was now the financial management of the family. And that is the major problem many of the families have today. Do not know how to manage finances. And therefore, some kind of a suspicion comes in. And I dare say, and I was very open to this, and many men would not do that. When I tell my friends, they say, you made a mistake. But I said, it is not a mistake. I lay bare my pay slip to her. Madam, this is what I earn. She also said, this is what I earn. So I know what she has, she knows what I have. So that nobody will feel that such and such a person has money but does not want to give. You understand? That openness is very important. Then she now suggested, out of that, how do we manage this? Management of the home. I could be the head of the home, but for me, I take her as a co-driver of the home. I value her so much. She could be the neck, as it is being said, but that neck holds the head. That support is very important. So as Pastor Catherine says, that even as you have that hierarchy in the home, God ordained her to be a helper. And that helper does not mean simply, pushing on. She is a co-heir to everything that you have. Before I do anything, I'll consult her. Akitaka kufanya kitu ananiambia. That is not somebody who is just pushing you. It's somebody that you are almost at the same level with. Now, this headship, how does it manifest itself? With the kind of actions that we take and the words that we speak. That respect she has talked about is very important. She respects me. I feel, yes, she values me. She puts me ahead of everybody in the house. I also do my respect, not limited that she is under me. And that's why I have given her freedom to do many, many things. She's a go-getter. I'm a bit analytical, as she said. Normally, I think through things. She can say, Daddy, I think we can do this. And she expects an answer that evening or that night. And then I've just kept quiet. She's wondering, mbona nilikuambia jambo fulani na hutaki kujibu? Nakuambia, I'm still digesting it. Mimi ni mtu wa hesabu. And she knows. I don't teach maths, but I like facts on the ground. If we do this, what will happen? What is the end result? Then she always encourages me, by faith, hesabu zitaingiana. Unaelewa? By faith, hesabu zita. Where I learned of her strength was the birth of our first born. We had been to hospital. We didn't expect a cesarean section. Somehow it came. So here we had to sign agreements, blah, blah, with the doctor, blah, blah, blah. And the doctor would always use big terms like their probabilities. Ukishasikia hiyo, kidogo, you put yourself in the feet on our shoes. Then you feel like, hey. Then it comes with costs also. But somebody had prepared you earlier that this is a normal delivery. So prepare such amount of money. Then the CS comes in a lot more. She tells me, God will provide. Kwangu mimi, napiga mahesabu. Unaelewa. But somehow God, in his own ways, mysterious ways, helps you to go through. That was strength number one I noted in her. That she's always one who is strengthened by faith. Nikasema hapo, I think nimegonga ndipo. So basically, leadership, as you talked about and asked earlier on. Once a leader, always a leader. God has ordained me as a leader of that home, isn't it? I must play my role, really, perfectly well. And not undermining anybody else that is under my roof. And therefore, I must be in the forefront so others can follow. I give directions. I think we should do this, but we'll have to consult. Is it all right if we do this? Is it all right if we buy this? Is it all right if we get into this business? Is it, all that. Then we come to an agreement that fine, let us go that direction. Now, is it all right for our children to go to this school? Fine. Is it all right that we do this? Fine. So we tunaelewana. But some of the initiatives need to come from me as I also back them up with facts and statistics. Then she comes in and says, I think hapa tunaweza panel beat kidogo, or sometimes she suggests. Then now, we go for the pros and the cons. Tukifanya hivi, what will happen? What will we achieve? And then we say, if the benefits are more than the cost implications, let's go for it. That is what we call leadership. Now, that is the physical home leadership. You also look at the spiritual leadership. How then do you balance these two? You must be the one that drives the way. Church matters are very important in our lives. We must all be prayerful, and therefore you guide everybody else, plus the young ones, that life is about prayer, fellowship. And therefore, God is number one in our lives. Until the children themselves get to know church. Sometimes they remind you, Daddy, tunaenda church, kuna focus, kuna fellowship, are we going? Ama sisi tuende, mtakuja baadaye. Those kind of issues. So you tell yourself, kumbe God has impacted in their lives. And you become happy about it. Yeah, that is the kind of leadership we're talking about. Of course, they will also talk about the social leadership, where, interact with very many people out there. I'm a leader somewhere else. She's a leader somewhere else. But that ends somewhere. It doesn't come and interfere with our own work at home. So that if I have something to do in the office, I might not have to carry it to the home to interfere with the operations of the home. She does her own work in her office, and then after that she comes home. Everything ends. And that's when she talked of 8-ish or 9-ish, simu kama zinapungua, because we then have to have time for ourselves. But the most important thing is give direction through dialogue. they'll always listen to you. But trust in God for leadership every time, everywhere. Thank you.
Yeah, marriage is ordained by God. And basically, for those people who are getting into marriage, and you don't walk in marriage expecting it to be a bed of roses. There are challenges in marriages. But those challenges, they are challenges that you can manage. So the most important people for a wife, you must protect the ego of your husband at whatever cost. It doesn't matter. You must protect the ego of your husband at whatever cost. And for a man, you must protect and love your wife. Because it's only a loved woman that can submit. So as much as us women protect the ego of your husband must also love the wife and protect her. Because when I feel protected and when I feel loved, I respect my husband. I will always protect him in public or in private because I know this man loves me and I know he protects me. I can sleep nikijua my husband, hata mtu atoke wapi hivi, he will protect me. That one is 100%. Even if mtu atoke, somebody going with a baby, any kind of words, I end up with my husband, you know, I'm 100% sure that my husband will protect me. And that is what makes me happy. And that's what makes me respect him and protect him at whatever cost. So women, as we walk into marriages, marriage is not a bed of roses, but you must work on your marriage. And you must protect the ego of your husband. And you see, protecting an ego is whereby, in public or anywhere, issues concerning your husband, you cannot air them in public. You cannot talk them in public. You always protect him. You protect his image in public so that he can also walk boldly, knowing that I have an ego. Yes. Yeah.
There are three categories you've talked about. Let me say for the married ones, you need to work on your marriage through dialogue, as we said. And in anything or everything that comes around, look for a way to go around it. But again, always ask for God to guide you through it. Continue loving one another and never be double-minded. One leg in, one out. You already spread your bed. You lie on it till death does you part. That is the main message you have around. And the Word of God tells us that the wives, be submissive to your husbands, and the husbands, love your wives. These are very simple things we can do. What is so difficult in that? You can. But certain strange forces do come in to break that analogy. Only if you allow it to happen. For them that are still young in the marriage, I want to encourage you to walk in there. Be there. No, hold on. Sometimes challenges do come. But again, you say, I wish I knew. I would have not gotten into this. Those challenges are surmountable by the grace of God, so that you don't feel you made a mistake. At one moment, you might tell yourself, well, I am sorry for myself for getting into this, and therefore I should look for a way of escaping from what? You got yourself. It is not a prison. You can work out things. Let it work. And by the way, it is not a walk in the park. As she said, not a bed of roses. You'll always expect them, especially when children come in. So many obligations come around, and these ones must also be carried along with you. Mlikuwa mmependana wawili, wacha huo moto uendelee kuwaka hata kama watoto wamekuja. When the children come to in between you now, then a few things go wrong. Don't allow that to happen. Especially
in addition also, Your husband is a priority, even after children come. Let him be a priority. Let your wife be a priority. Kids come in as a blessing, but him remains #1 priority. And secondly, let men also learn. We are in a technology, as I said earlier, in real estate. Women are getting empowered. That is a whole nother topic when we'll get time. Women are getting empowered. Who is empowering our boy child? So we have an empowered generation of women, but boy child has been neglected. So when an empowered woman is in the house and there is a neglected boy child, what happens? So let women also learn to impress their men, because we are in a world whereby I'm in a marketplace in business. I'm a woman of faith. I can go out there and then I make some very good money. My husband professionally is a teacher. He's on a salary. So even when I come in with that big money, how will I be able to handle him as my husband? Because things are changing. There is so much attention on the woman child, a girl's child, but we don't have a lot of emphasis on the boy child. So we are going to a generation whereby women are very empowered and men have been neglected. So women must arise and learn to protect their men. Even if they are empowered, they are moneyed, they must respect the man that is in the house. Yes.
And finally, we were talking about those intending to get into the institution. I say, hallelujah, welcome into the world, into the club. But to always discard the negative myths you have around. You have seen a family did not, a marriage did not work elsewhere. You saw maybe your mom and dad did not do very well in marriage. You saw some split, some separation, some kind of divorce. And therefore saying, now you're encouraging generational problem or curse into marriage. And you are saying, I will not get married because of what I've seen, yet you have not even tried it. So these are the people who quit before they try out. So you don't lose before you start doing something. You only fail when you've already started. But there's no room for failure also. We are saying, as you plan to, and please get married, young men, young women, get married, because it's an ordained institution. It is God's will that one has a partner of the opposite gender. Purpose in your life to get married. And go for the correct and the right person, guided by the Holy Spirit and the work of God.